Hello Jamaica, welcome to Sports Unwrapped, Gleaner Online's weekly sports review. I'm Leighton Levy. Today we speak with Andre Virtue from the Valencia Next Generation Easter Pro Football Camp that's going to be held at the Easter weekend. We speak with Andre Virtue after we come back from this break. Hey, welcome back to Sports Unwrapped. With me today is Andre Virtue, the Technical Director of the Valencia Foundation Next Generation Pro Baller Easter Camp that's coming up soon. Andre, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, let me ask you, what exactly is the Valencia Next Generation Camp?
What exactly it is an opportunity to expose our up-and-coming footballers to a professional environment. Really getting an opportunity to get the best from Valencia here to Jamaica and providing them with the best trading techniques that are currently out there.
And by Valencia, you're referring to the Spanish club, the Spanish Giants club.
The Spanish Giants, yes. They are currently ranked third behind Real Madrid and Barcelona. And so, you know, they have done quite well in the last couple of years, but a lot of it has been proven through their youth. David Villa is a major player that used to play for them and has now moved on. But he's one of them, but it's coming out to their youth program.
This is the second year of the camp, right?
Correct.
And we've had players over here, Kaya Beckford and Martin Davis, who are currently in Spain playing. Tell me a little bit about their progress, and before we come back to the camp that's coming up, Tell me a little bit about how they've been progressing.
Their progress has been going pretty well. Just to be able to talk to them and hear the maturity in them as individuals, I think that's the first thing that I think I would highlight. That is an exposure that is, the value of it is unmeasurable. We can't even begin to put a value on it. But they have spoken about their cultural exposure. They have spoken about just the ability to learn a new language. And obviously, on a football level, to be in an environment that you're learning top-class football. So on those three levels, I think it's great for young players, young individuals, to get that level of exposure at such a young age. And you know, they constantly speak about just how unbelievable it is for them. It's a dream, but now they're realizing a part of their dream, and I think that is a great thing.
Valencia has a football philosophy, and for us to understand what these players are going to be learning, more than just the football on the field, what is the philosophy of Valencia football?
The philosophy is that they realize that the sport itself is a valuable tool to teach life and to teach lessons about life, the discipline, the teamwork, the cooperation that is necessary. It transcends the sport. It prepares you for life, and they also recognize that because of the following around football, they have an opportunity to change someone's life. And that's their philosophy. Their philosophy is to start as young, give them the right avenues of which they can learn. And as they do that, they recognize that when they get different talent, they can harness that and guide that to something meaningful. And if it extends towards being for Valencia or another club, but they would have done something important in their life. I mean, that speaks so much. The foundation owns the club. So it speaks to what the social arm of the club, of the foundation is, in reaching out to the youth in general and preparing them for life. All
right, so the camp this year is from April 16th to 20th. You're going to have over 100 kids involved in the camp this year, up from, I think it was 60 last year?
No, it actually was 110 last year.
Okay, but it's still an increase in number over last year. Tell me a little bit about what is going to happen in the camp and what are the kids going to be taught this year?
All right, well, for the camp this year, we've broken down into two different groups. So we have a 7 to 11 age group, which is an addition to last year's camp, and we have a 12 to 17 age group. And really what we're really doing, we're starting younger, because we recognize that earlier they start, the earlier they begin to understand what it is to be like and what to do to go to the next level. For the older kids, it's some of the same, but you know, sometimes for us, the basics, we kind of want to look over it and we want to play ball. But they emphasize the importance of, you know, looking at the fundamentals, constantly doing that. Repetition is so important. It's just something like permanent makes permanent. Not, so it's not to overlook it. And so what they will be doing is just teaching a lot of the youth methodology of the Valencia system and how they work with the kids. Very, very interactive, very fun, very enjoyable, but they're challenging them. And one of the things that is very apparent and what they have constantly shared is that there's multiple things happening at one time. And so to help the young players understand from a very early age that it's not just to pass the ball, but you need to know who's running to your right, who's running to your left, you need to listen to another voice. So they do different techniques that help you. While you're passing, you have to call a name. While you're running, you need to do something else. So it's helping your brain to receive more than one instruction at the same time.
Multitask.
And multitasking, because that's what the world of football does create. You have many things happening, and so in the camp we want to kind of model what that professional environment is like. And above, not above, but in addition to that, it's the whole discipline and the professionalism of the environment that we're going to create at Sabina Park. It's an unbelievable surface. It's not the typical surfaces that we train on. And so those are some of the main things, and we're going to be looking at the whole thing about finishing, which we have a huge problem in Jamaica.
Oh, yes,
and the tactical awareness. So those are a combination of things that will be addressed in the camp.
Let me ask you a question. In regards to football in Jamaica, how football is played in Jamaica, we try to believe that we adopt a Brazilian philosophy. Valencia philosophy is now being introduced to some of these younger kids. Will that present a clash at any level, do you think, or is it that both philosophies are so similar that they can easily blend with each other?
I don't believe it's a clash, especially when you're talking about development. We're not talking about winning trophies here now or winning, advancing to a World Cup. We're talking about development, which if you have those fundamentals, when you look at Brazilian football, a lot of it goes in the streets where they grow up, with the touch of the ball, the love for the ball, their control. That speaks to the Spanish football, but they call it tic-tac, which is just really the quick, small, sharp, quick movements. So it's more about speed and the ability to execute effectively and efficiently. And they have modeled that very well. The Brazilians had to change although they are very talented, they had to change their way of playing football to get to the global way, and their game has transitioned. So I don't think it's a clash. I think more it's an opportunity to develop the fundamentals in it. And as you progress, that's what's going to help you to be able to build on top of it, because it's foundational.
This camp is only 4 days, like the one last year. And of course, there are opportunities for some of these kids to probably win scholarships to go to Spain.
Right.
How do you, beyond that scholarship though, how do you sustain the program? I know there's talk of starting an academy here.
Sure. Speak
to a little bit about how close is that reality to starting an academy, and how do you sustain what these kids are going to be learning?
Yeah, well, Victor Salazar, who is the brainchild here, he in the initial talks spoke about a 3-year arrangement, and he spoke about that in the sense that we didn't want something that was one-off. So initially we're working as a 3-year arrangement. Now after doing the first year, what has happened since the first year has kind of multiplied. The growth and the opportunities have now begun to increase because of what they saw when they came to Jamaica. They saw an excellent organized and run camp. They saw a tremendous amount of ability and talent that is here. And so when they went back, they're like, look, there is something here more than just the wonderful Jamaica name. There is talent here. And so therefore, when we speak now, we have an ear. And more than an ear, they're willing to receive any kind of suggestions, ideas. Now, at the end of the 3 years is when we said, well, if all that goes well, then we could now begin talking about having a permanent academy here. Now, that could happen before. A lot of that, obviously, even although Valencia might be willing, is about sponsorship, it's about investment. And so that's where Victor is spending most of his time in kind of saying, look, we have our product, here is it, you've seen it, you've heard about the successes that we're having, so how do we now fast track that business side of things to ensure that that's a reality? As it relates to sustaining, one key component of the Camp Leighton is about the coaches. Our coaches, our local coaches, don't get the exposure. So we have, fortunately for us, we have the JFF coaching school now, which is a plus. But our local coaches outside of Jamaica don't get it. There are a few coaches who get their exposure outside. So what we wanted our local coaches to not just go a theory and have a practical with the coaches. We want our local coaches to come and see and experience for themselves how it is that coaches coach youth. And so therefore they're getting a practical of seeing their own kids. And so even the primary school, the prep schools, and even the high school kids that will be there, we have primary school, prep school, and high school coaches with their players actually being in the camp. So what you're getting is that the players are going to benefit and go back to their club, school. The coaches of the same club and school is going to benefit. So hopefully it's not just the kid going back and the coach is like, well, I don't know where you're getting this from, but I don't know that. But you have the coach and the player kind of saying, look, there was something that energized me, excited me, I learned. And therefore, hopefully, that could be something that can move more further into helping the coach to see broader than just coaching to win, but development. As a coach, you sit back and say, if I can develop players, then I'd have done a tremendous job in preparing the Reggae boys for qualification whenever that time may come.
You mentioned sponsorship, which is key, and in anything that you're trying to get off the ground and gain traction with, you need sponsorship. Money is key, especially in Jamaica,
Sure.
tight economic times.
Definitely.
Tell me about the impact of some of the sponsors, and who are some of the major sponsors who have come on board to help this program get off the ground and get running?
It cannot be undervalued, Leighton. You are so right. I mean, Clara and Scotiabank have been tremendous presenting sponsors last year, and they both came on board this year without any reservation. Just because they believe, one, in development, two, they believe in putting their money or their support in something that has lasting impact. And everything that we have done with both of these our main sponsors have been in that vein. And so the ability to organize, to plan effectively comes from that level of support by them. They're so happy with not just the football aspect of it, but what we have done on the scene, the creating a professional environment, encouraging the discipline, our whole approach to it, which they think is a huge part in helping to steer and guide our youth in a direction where they realize it's not just about talent, because you need a character, you need a discipline as well. And both of the sponsors have really said, wow, this is something that we want to be involved in. And so they have really been a huge part of the success that we have had. And it continues to evolve in terms of things that we speak on the phone and what we could do. And you see, dreaming is not a sponsorship, it's more a partnership. And I think both Clara and Scotia has provided us that opportunity. And the other persons who have come on board to even assist and defray, Spanish Court Hotel has put up the coaches both years. We had Pepsi last year, and they're involved into Gatorade this year. We have Jamaica producers who have come on board, and so Sabina Park, a huge partner in it, and through the ministry, really seeing their part, and that's the government's part in playing there. So a lot of partnering, a lot of things, but these have really stepped up to the plate in the first 2 years and really want to be a part of it going forward.
And one last question: what's your vision for this program 5 years down the road?
My vision for the program is that I would want to see youth football being looked at in a true developmental way. That we remove the whole thing about winning at all costs, and realize that if we develop our youth and expose them at an earlier age, you prepare them for life. There's life before the game, during the game, and after the game. And I think for the next 5 years, what we'd want to see is that we get more opportunity of exposing our players to not just Spanish football or not just to Valencia, but if they are great and they're good at what they're doing, MLS is not an option, not a challenge. College is not a challenge. The national team is not a challenge. They have options, and too many times our local players get what is given to them because they don't have options. Right. And so in the next 5 years, I would hope that as a result of what we're doing, we create options for our younger players, and then the opportunities for them will just be so tremendous. And at that point, there is no limit as to where football and those individuals can go because of it.
When we come back, we wrap up Sports Unwrapped for this week. That's it for this week, folks. Of course, you can see Sports Unwrapped by going onto the Gleaner site, jamaicagleaner.com, and finding the Sports Unwrapped logo, clicking on it, and you'll see the show. Of course, you can send us your emails at sportsunwrapped@gleanergm.com, and you can catch my blogs at gleanerblogs.com. But before we go, we have to give you the sports fact of the week. You heard us mention Kaya Beckford and Martin Davis, students of Glenmuir and St. George's College, respectively. Those two guys were the first ever students selected to go play football in Valencia Youth Program from the Valencia Easter Program here in Jamaica. That's your sports fact of the week. Until next week, this is Leighton Levy saying have a great week and be a good sport.